Jose Fernandez, a talented 24-year-old pitcher for the Miami Marlins, was operating a 32-foot boat at an excessive speed in the early morning hours of September 25, 2016, off the coast of Miami Beach. The boat struck a jetty, resulting in a catastrophic impact that killed Fernandez and two other occupants instantly. The Miami Marlins organization and players were devastated by this tragic death, but most of all the Cuban community of Miami, where Fernandez embodied the American dream for many Cuban exiles and immigrants. As someone who risks his life on multiple attempts to escape Cuba before finally making it to the US at 15, Jose represented the hopes and aspirations of the Cuban community. Today we are looking at the story of Jose Fernandez, the Cuban baseball player that shined in Miami. It was clear that Fernandez had a unique talent as soon as he took the mound. Even the most seasoned batters were confused by his changeup, curveball, and seasoned fastball. However, it was not merely his repertoire of pitches that distinguished him. Rather, it was the insatiable desire to excel that blazed with him. He won the National League Rookie of the Year title at the age of just 20.
Who is all of 20 years old. Here's a 2-2 pitch. That's strike three. And
demonstrating his indisputable talent and unwielding will. However, this was only the start. Fernandez kept on shining year after year, amassing strikeouts and earning the respect of his opponents. Fans were on the edge of their seats and batters were shaking their heads in shock after his unbelievable mound performances. Fernandez was adored by the Miami community and his colleagues off the field. Everyone who came into contact with him was captivated by his contagious smile and tremendous excitement, and his love of the game encouraged a new generation of budding ball players in South Florida. Jose Fernandez's adventure began in the sun-drenched streets of Santa Clara, Cuba, before he became a superstar on the diamond. Fernandez's love for baseball was sparked at a young age since he was raised in a household where the sport was more than simply a pastime. However, it was also a place where hard reality frequently clashed with dreams, and at the age of 15, Fernandez made the painful decision to leave his native country in search of a brighter future. After coming to the US with little more than an ambition and a strong desire to succeed, Fernandez had a difficult time adjusting to life in a foreign land. His background of defecting from Cuba, saving his mother from drowning during one of those attempts, and achieving success at the highest levels of his profession resonated deeply with the Cuban community in Miami. They saw themselves and their own struggles reflected in Fernandez's journey. Where Fernandez was selected by the Miami Marlins in the first round of the MLB draft in 2011, his goal came true.
We are confirming that one of the victims is Jose Fernandez, pitcher for the Florida Marlins. It is a tragic loss not only for the family, for friends, but for the Marlin community, the state of Florida, Major League Baseball, and anyone who met this gentleman.
Fernandez was operating a 32-foot center console fishing boat, a CV model, in the early morning hours of September 25, 2016. The boat was traveling at an excessive speed when it struck the north jetty of Government Cut off Miami Beach around 3:15 a.m. The impact of the crash was so catastrophic that Fernandez and two other occupants, Emilio Jesus Macias and Eduardo Rivero, were killed instantly. Investigators determined the primary causes were reckless behavior or speeding and operating a vessel while impaired by alcohol and cocaine. Prior to the accident, Fernandez and his friends had visited a popular Miami waterfront bar called American Social Bar and Kitchen on the Miami River. They left the bar sometime after 3 a.m. and headed out into the dark waters, ultimately leading to the tragic crash into the jetty. The wreckage was discovered shortly after the crash by a passing Coast Guard crew who notified emergency responders. The scene of the north jetty of Government Cut, a rocky area known for hazardous waters even in daylight, was devastating. Fernandez's death at just 24-year-old sent shockwaves through the Miami community, baseball world, and especially the Cuban American community that saw him as a source of immense pride. Reports state that Fernandez, Emilio Jesus Macias, and Eduardo Rivera arrived at American Social around 1 a.m. on September 25th and spent around 1 hour and 45 minutes at American Social before the crash. They purchased 2 bottles of Don Julio tequila and other drinks while at the bar. One of the key details mentioned is that American Social allows boats to dock alongside the establishment, which is likely why Fernandez and his friends visited there before heading out on the water that tragic night. According to reports released later by investigators, the key factors that led to the crash were excessive speed, impaired judgment due to alcohol and drugs. Investigators revealed that Fernandez had a blood alcohol level nearly twice the legal limit and had cocaine in his system as well. And the other issue was nighttime conditions that helped with the accident. Following the terrible death of Jose Fernandez, a tsunami of shock and grief swept through the baseball community and fans worldwide. Many people found it difficult to accept the tragic truth of his premature passing. After losing such a bright, talented, adored person and gifted young athlete, the fans and teammates who had supported him at every pitch were genuinely sad by his passing. A monument to the influence Fernandez had on those who knew him personally and those who just admired him from a distance. Tributes to him were sent from all around the world. Fans flocked to candlelight vigils outside Marlins Park to celebrate his legacy and pay their respects. Heartfelt words inundated timelines on social media, serving as a devastating reminder of the terrible loss that the baseball community as a whole was experiencing. The death of Jose Fernandez was met with intense grief and sorrow in Miami, especially within the Cuban community that saw him as a source of pride and embodiment of the American dream. The entire Miami Marlins team gathered at their ballpark the day after the accident to grieve together, with players wearing black jerseys with Fernandez number 16. An emotional press conference was held where manager Don Mattingly and others could barely speak through their tears, describing Fernandez as a little kid who played with boundless joy. The Marlins game against the Braves on September 15th was cancelled to allow the team and community to mourn. When they returned the next day, all players wore Fernandez 16 jersey in tribute. A public memorial was held on September 28th at the Marlins ballpark, giving fans a chance to pay their respects. Fernandez's ashes were later scattered at sea off Miami on October 2nd. In the Cuban enclaves of Miami, like Little Havana and Hialeah, the news spread rapidly, in a way akin to a relative's passing. Cuban Americans saw Fernandez, who escaped Cuba as a teenager to achieve MLB stardom, as one of their own, who embodied their hopes and dreams. Miami's Cuban mayor at the time, Thomas Regalado, who was born in Havana, released a statement calling Fernandez a proud son of Miami, and his death a huge loss for our community. The outpouring highlighted how Fernandez's success resonated so deeply with the Cuban community, many of whom made similar dangerous journeys to the US. Hundreds of fans gathered at Marlins Park to say goodbye to Fernandez. His hearse carried his body in a motorcade that went past the stadium, allowing fans to line up and chant Jose, Jose as it went by. The memorial service itself was open to the public from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. at St. Brendan Catholic Church. In the days after his death, fans flocked to Marlins Park to leave flowers, inscribe messages on stadium pillars, and celebrate Fernandez's impact on the community. There was an outpouring of grief as fans felt they had lost one of their own. The Cuban American Catholic community planned to honor Fernandez with a procession and prayers at the Cuban Shrine of Our Lady of Charity, La Ermita de la Caridad, in Miami. The shrine holds great significance for the Cuban diaspora. The University of Miami football team, for whom Fernandez was an avid fan, honored him by wearing his number 16 jersey during warm-ups before their next game. The investigation. After the initial shock subsided, the focus shifted to the accident's investigation and its legal ramifications. Concerns were raised over the events that preceded the crash, particularly the part that alcohol and speeding had in the catastrophe. To ascertain the accident's cause and bring those liable for the 3 young lives lost, authorities initiated an in-depth investigation. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Community concluded, after a nearly 6-month investigation, that Jose Fernandez was operated the speeding boat that crashed and killed him and 2 others on September 25, 2016. Key findings of the FWC investigation: Fernandez was the operator of the 32-foot vessel that crashed into the jetty at 65.7 miles per hour. This was determined by matching his injuries to the boat's damage and finding his DNA on the steering wheel and throttle. Fernandez was impaired with a blood alcohol level of 0.147, nearly twice the legal limit limit and had cocaine in his system. He violated multiple boating laws, including boating under the influence, manslaughter, vessel homicide, and reckless careless operation. The crash was caused by Fernandez's impairment and manner of operation, operating recklessly at extreme high speeds in the dark in an area with known hazard like jetties. The investigation concluded Fernandez's intoxication from alcohol and drugs combined with reckless high speed operation in dangerous conditions were the primary causes of the fatal accident. Fernandez's family attorney criticized the findings, claiming investigators were out of their league on such a high-profile case. However, the evidence from the crash scene analysis and toxicology reports directly implicated Fernandez as the impaired operator responsible for the tragedy. His untimely passing serves as a somber reminder of how fleeting life is and how important it is to savor each moment. It also emphasizes how important it is to practice proper boating etiquette and safety. We can preserve Jose Fernandez's memory and stop additional fatal incidents in the future by taking these strategies lessons to heart and placing safety first. By working together, we can ensure Fernandez's legacy lives on as a beacon of responsibility and awareness, encouraging others to live life to the fullest and most passionately. By doing this, we can preserve his ideals and pay tribute to his legacy. I'm Out of Front Gurus, and I'm out.